changes in schools, it's time to know what's shaping classrooms, where do we go? Policy shifting, rules on the move. Parents and teachers get in the groove. No more confusion, no more delay. Facts that matter right here today. Polity Pulse, breaking it down. Education news, straight from the ground. What's changing now? What's coming next? Stay informed, don't second guess. Decisions are made, the future's at stake. Let's get the facts, there's too much at play. This is Policy Pulse, Education Edition. Decisions are made, the future's at stake. Let's get the facts, there's too much at play. This is Policy Pulse, Education Edition.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is Policy Pulse Education Edition, where we break down what's happening in K-12 education so you can stay informed, stay empowered, and most importantly, stay ahead of the game. I know that education policy can feel overwhelming. There's a lot of noise, a lot of headlines, and sometimes it is hard to know what actually matters. That's why I am here. No spin, no fluff, just clear, fact-based insights and information on what's changing and how it affects you, your children, your child, your school, your schools with an S, and or your community. So that's what it is. Whether you're a parent, a caregiver, a guardian, a grandparent, right? An educator, a business owner, or just someone who cares about education, the future of education, stick with me. I invite you in. Like, share, comment, engage. I want you to be here with me. I'm going to break it all down for you. We're going to dialogue and discuss together. So jump in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from, and let's get started. All right. Thank you all for being with me today. I am so excited, right? I hope you all can see everything. I hope you all can hear everything. If you see me looking off to the side, I'm always checking to ensure that our technology is exactly working the way we need it to work, so that you all can engage and get what you need in these sessions. So again, my name is Catina Taylor. I have been in the education space for 25 years, 15 of which I spent in classrooms, middle school, first grade, high school, teaching your children. In addition, I've tutored all of that time. I've advocated for parents all of that time. And I am so excited now to be the founder and CEO of Dreams KC. where we empower parents with the tools they need to teach their children foundational literacy skills. That's the work, that's what I do. But it is also important that not only do we have the concept of building confident and competent leaders through Dreams KC, our nonprofit, we can't shift, move the needle for our children, for the families, for the entire community without policy. So it is imperative that we understand policy. We know how it impacts us each and every day. Again, as parents, as educators, as business owners, and tax-paying community members. So again, welcome to Policy Pulse Education Edition. We are at part three. Part three, y'all. 1, 2, 3. I can't do my fingers right that way. Part three of a 10-part mini series focused on Title I. This conversation is one that every parent deserves to hear. They need to hear it because, well, I'm not gonna go into it just yet. What I will say is this space is really about clarity and power, helping you as parents understand exactly what the federal law says about your role in your child's education. You don't need to be a lawyer. You don't need to be an educator to grasp what we're discussing. You just need truth, and that's what I'm providing to you in this 10-part mini series. So again, welcome. You can screenshot, you can take notes, you can come back and rewatch this. I'll post clips as well, and we will continue 10, and we'll do total of 10 episodes around Title I. And then you should be seeing some additional movement in the community as we address this issue with our traditional public schools and school districts, with our charter schools, etc. Any school that is receiving federal Title I dollars, they will hear from us. We will work with them to ensure that our parents are positioned as the law requires, right? So that is the work. That is what we're doing. Strap in, get ready, let's go. All right. So here we go, guys. Again, I always want to give the disclaimer that the views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of me, Catina, and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any affiliated organization, right? I do also like to share with folks that yes, Dreams KC is an education nonprofit. We are 501c3 organization, but that does not mean that we cannot involve ourselves and be engaged in policy. So if you're a nonprofit and you're hesitant about doing that as it relates to the space, the ecosystem, the industry space that you're in, understand and know that there are opportunities for you to engage, get involved, and you should be doing that if and when it is necessary for your organization. All right. All right, let's go. I started the last couple of sessions ensuring that you all understand what education policy is, how we define that, right? When people hear that term, it sounds distant, like something that's decided in Jeff City or Washington, D.C., that you can't really reach out and touch and grasp and feel, right? But really, education policy is very simple. It determines what happens every single day in your child's classroom. That's the bottom line. It dictates what's taught, how teachers are supported, and even whether parents have a voice, and you do. So understanding policy is how we move from complaining about what's happening or not happening at schools and in school districts to changing them. Sadly, education is a space that has been extremely slow to evolve as compared to other industries, other ecosystems. And we at Dreams KC, me giving you this information through this podcast or this live broadcast each and every week is so that we can begin to shift it and shift it more rapidly for what's in the best interest of our children. That's what it is, you all. All right. So we are ready to dig in. Of course, tonight we're talking about federal law and family power, what you are legally entitled to under Title I. Remember, this is a 10-part series focused specifically on Title I, right? We want to equip you with the knowledge and the tools to advocate effectively for meaningful partnership in your child's education. That's what it's about. Building a village, collaborating and partnering with schools and school districts for the betterment of your children. That's it. That's all. Hard stop. Period. Okay? So that's what we're going to be talking about. This conversation, I tell you, it really, really matters because parents, you are not guests in this process. You are not the afterthought. You're not the, oh, and by the way, you're not the side piece. If we really need to break it down, when we think about the education of your children, you are federally recognized partners. Just let that sink in. You are partners. And if you all know anything about Catina, one thing you know is that I say parents are the first and most important teachers of their children. How can you be the first and most important, but you're a side piece? That doesn't make any sense. No, you are the main ingredient. You are a federally recognized partner. In Section 1116 of the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, right, isn't about being invited to a meeting. Nope, not at all. It's about co-ownership. Co-ownership. And yet many schools, many school districts treat family engagement as a favor. Rather than treat it as the federal requirement that it is. They're not doing you a favor by inviting you in. No. You're doing them a favor by sending your most precious gift to them, entrusting them with their care, their social and emotional well-being, and their academic development. So tonight, we are going to explore what the law actually says and what to do when schools forget that partnership is not optional. So buckle in, get a piece of paper, get a pen, get your device and record it if you need to. Whatever it is that you need to do to capture this information, just stop and do it right now. You will not regret it. And if you need to reach me after the broadcast, I will share with you all in my comments. Of course, you can always follow Dreams KC at Literacy is Liberation on all social media platforms, but I'll also share my contact information at the end. So stay tuned to the end or always come back if you can't. All right. All right. So remember, this is episode number 3. So this episode number 3. So the first one, we just kind of explained what Title I was. Where did it come from? The evolution of Title I. You feel free to go out and take a look at that video. It's on YouTube. It's on the Dreams KC Facebook page. It's on our Dreams KC LinkedIn page as well. We go live in those 3 places every single week. And that's what we did in session 1. We just explained what it was. Last week for session 2, we specifically talked about Missouri and the way in which schools and or school districts qualify for Title I funding. So we talked about that 40% threshold for school-wide programs. And if they didn't meet the 40% threshold of free and reduced lunch students, right, then what that could look like for the most at-risk children that needed additional support within that school or school district. So I just wanted to let you know that that's what we covered in the previous sessions. Feel free to go back again and take a look at those, and we will jump forward for tonight's topic, all right? So remember, Title I was designed plainly to level the playing field for children in under-resourced schools. Now remember, Brown v. Board, we thought would level the playing field. It did not. And sadly, it has not been leveled. Here we are in 2025, all of these years later. These funds, these Title I funds, these Title I dollars are meant to add to and not replace what the district already provides or what the school already provides. This is supplemental funding, not replacement funding, not gap filling funding. Because we know we all have gaps in our funding right now, be it our personal or business accounts. Many of us, not all of us, right? But this Title I money, these Title I dollars are not meant to fill the gap. They are not to add on something new per se, to supplement, right? They are to add to, not replace what's already being done. And attached to every single Title I dollar, there is a condition. You know what that condition is? Authentic, organic, genuine family engagement. For every single dollar, there is a condition attached, and it is family engagement. I just want you all to know, okay? That's what we're talking about when we start talking about understanding Title I and the conditions and the voice of parents and the power that exists. That really means that the government doesn't just hand out funding. Take that with a grain of salt when I say that, under this current administration, but the government expects schools to prove that parents helped shape how the dollars are used. Did you hear me? Do you understand that? There is an expectation that schools prove that parents helped shape how the dollars are spent. No exception. But I do know why schools and school districts in the Kansas City area that I'm most familiar with may be having trouble. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. All right. So remember, it's the Every Student Succeeds Act. We're talking about Section 1116, right? What the law actually requires. So here's the very simple power, or I don't want to say simple power, but here's the power point of the law, right? The PowerPoint, not PowerPoint presentation. It uses the words jointly. If you look at number 1 here, schools shall, not may, not maybe, may think about it. No, they shall develop the parent and family engagement policy jointly with. Shall and jointly with. You see, I have it bolded, I have it underlined. And in addition to, then distribute that complete policy to parents. That's what it is. It means that the parent and family engagement policy isn't created for you. You don't just show up and it's been done and they give it to you. It's created with you. Y'all hear me? With you, not for you. Jointly with, and distributed to. Shall being the operative word here. If you've never been a part of writing or reviewing that plan, your school is out of compliance. Let me say it again for those in the back. You didn't hear me. If you have not been a part of writing and reviewing the plan, the parent and family engagement policy and plan, your school is out of compliance. This section also protects your role in how engagement money is spent. It's not enough for a principal to tell you where it went after the fact, because that is often what happens. I've seen it for myself. But you have the right to decide how these dollars are used before it's spent. I know schools, school districts, administrators, superintendents, CEOs, Title I administrators, maybe scratching their head, pulling their hair, banging on the desk. Catina, why are you sharing this information? Because I'm a parent first. As my friend Cassandra would say, I'm a parent plus. I'm a grandparent. I'm a parent advocate. I'm a community member. I'm a taxpayer. I'm all of the things And if I have information, if I know something, it is a duty to share it. And by nature, that's who I am. I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, I'm a liberator. So that's why I'm sharing the information, right? So I want you to really take a look at this. So you have the joint development requirement, you have the spending decisions requirement. Parents must. There's that. That's like shall. Use those interchangeably. Must be involved in decisions about how the portion of Title I funds reserved for parent and family engagement, which is 1%, 1% of the entire allocation. You then are involved in decisions of how that money is spent. Schools cannot, shall not predetermine these expenditures without parent input. Y'all hear me talking today? 1% of their Title I budget is allocated for family and parent engagement. And schools cannot, must not, shall not predetermine these expenditures without your input. Yes, they are required to have an annual meeting, and most of the time, that's where it starts and stops. Yes, they must convene an annual meeting at a convenient time to inform parents about, hey, our school met the 40% threshold, or our school did not meet the 40% threshold, and what that means, and what the program requires. And you also in that meeting should be informed of your rights. So the same things I'm telling you, your school or school district should be telling you. And then there's the invitation. You are invited to participate in planning, review, and improvement activities. So this is not a one-stop shop plan. It's written, and then boop, bop, bam, we don't never talk about it again. No. How did we do? Let's take a look at this each year. How can we improve it? How can we engage more parents? If you don't have a return on investment, meaning you spent money to recruit more families to be involved, engaged, and they weren't, what do we need to do differently? How can we spend our money differently so that the return on investment increases, skyrockets? We get the bulk of our families engaged. And ongoing communications. The statute says schools shall, there's that word again, provide parents with timely information about Title I programs, descriptions of curriculum and assessments, proficiency levels of students, and the levels they're expected to meet. What does it mean to be below basic, proficient, or advanced? How many credits do they need in each subject area at high school? What is that dual program that exists? How does my son, my daughter, my grandchild qualify and move through so that when they graduate, they not only have a diploma, but also an associate's degree? How does that work? You should have that information at your fingertips. And then you should be made aware of opportunities for regular meetings with flexible scheduling. Sorry, educators. Sorry, school administrators. Sorry, district level leaders. If most of your parents work during the day like you, these meetings have to occur before they go to work, after they go to work, on breaks. And I know that that may be an inconvenience to you, but the law says that we have to have flexible scheduling for them. That's the work. And I know it's difficult. I know it's challenging. But how do we meet the needs of the most? The group, not the individuals. And I would hope that our administrators and our district level leaders were trained in such a way, mentored in such a way that they understand this. Oftentimes that doesn't happen, unfortunately. But here you have a champion, you have an advocate, you have an ally. How do we coalesce together, collaborate together? So it's a win-win, right? So this is what the federal law requires, the Every Student Succeeds Act, Section 1116, right? So I want you to understand that this is what it requires, you guys. This is it. I didn't make it up. I'm not telling you something that's not there. I cite the source so that you all can always go back and look at it yourself. I want you to think about this slide as your Parents' Bill of Rights under Title I. We often hear about schools or school districts creating a Parents' Bill of Rights. Well, Title I has really created you one. This is your checklist, right? You have the right to know, to decide, to communicate, to question, and to review. That's what it is. To know, to decide, y'all know what it is, to communicate, to question, and to review. Those 5 verbs, action words, right, are the difference between being informed and being empowered. This checklist is more than information. It is a map for action. So you say, okay, Catina, I got the right to know. The right to know what? It's right here. You have the legal right to be informed whether your child's school's receiving Title I funding. Let's just start there. How much funding the school receives annually and how those funds are being allocated across programs and initiatives. You have a right to know. You have a right to participate. What do you mean, Catina, I have a right to participate? You must be given genuine, authentic, organic opportunities to help create the policy, the parent and family engagement policy, the school parent compact, and the school-wide Title I plan before these documents are finalized. Participation means contributing ideas during the drafting process, not just signing a completed document, which is what most of you are always asked to do. I have a right to decide what else? Funding. You have the authority, the right to participate in decisions about how parent and family engagement funds are spent, including determining priorities for family events, communication tools. Because remember, we'll adopt a communication tool and say, oh, it's great. This is what we're using this year. What parents had a voice in that? Parent training. Woo, I love that. Parent training and community workshops. Does your school or school district have a parent university? What are they offering? Did they talk to you about what you all as parents needed most? Is there a balance of how to check Power School along with how do I help my child academically excel? Is it a balance in between those types of training opportunities? And community partnerships. We want our children to know X, Y, and Z, to experience X, Y, and Z, to grow in their social and emotional skills, to be college and career ready, to be entrepreneurship ready. What community partnerships can we develop to ensure that the things that we want for our children in the 21st century so that they are globally competitive are being offered? What's available? Let's discuss it. Let's prioritize it, and what can we get done? That's what you have a right to do. You have a right to two-way communication. You are entitled to regular, meaningful dialogue with teachers and administrators about your child's progress, the instructional programs they use, school improvement efforts, and it must be in a language you understand and in accessible formats. Is the school and school district taking into consideration all the languages? In email, in text, in call blast, in social media, in flyers? Is it taken into consideration that many adults in our community may struggle with literacy themselves? How do they get it? Can we get audio files? Are we writing it at a level that parents and families understand? Is it dyslexia friendly? Just like these things matter for our children, they matter for the adults. And the law requires schools to make sure that this information is in accessible formats. Don't be afraid to request what you need so that you can be in the best shape to support and help your children. This one I love. You have a right to know teacher qualifications. You may request, and you should get upon request, information about the professional qualification of your child's teachers, including, are they certified? Are they a certified sub? They have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, an advanced degree. How long have they been teaching? Are they used to teaching in the urban core or suburbia or rural, wherever they are, wherever you are? Do they have experience here? Do they have a mentor teacher that's working with them? What's their professional development plan look like? Or is my child being taught by long-term subs or paraprofessionals? Now, I will tell you, I came through the route of being an alternative certified teacher. So I don't knock those people if, in fact, they are playing catch up and doing everything that they can to be the most effective teacher for your children. I did that. And I was in an environment that encouraged that, supported it. But that is not everyone's story. And last but certainly not least, you have the right to review and question. Review and question what, Catina? Look at the school academic performance data. Go to the board meetings. Go to the PTA, PTO, SAC meetings where this information is being shared. Now, if there are reasonable times, you have the information in accessible format, you're invited to participate and you don't go, that's a different conversation. But you do have a right to request the information, to attend the sessions when they are being made available. If it's something you don't understand, ask, request explanations of assessment results for your children, for the district, for the school on a whole. You don't want to go asking about Johnny if Johnny isn't your child. But you can ask about data for the entire school, for the entire district, and your child or children specifically. And if you consistently get the runaround, they're not adhering to the rules as outlined in the law, then you have the opportunity to talk to a school administrator first, your district level, federal programs or Title I administrator. And if you have to escalate, then you could go to the state level and file a formal complaint. I would hope that we don't get there in any situation or circumstance, but if we do, you do have recourse. So this is the Parents' Bill of Rights under Title I. This is what it is. And as you go along, you should be able to check these things. Yes, my school is in compliance. Yes, my school is in compliance. Yes, my district is in compliance. Right? You should be able to do that and be happy about it, because now we're really collaborating. Now we're operating as a village. Now we're coalescing together, getting to know how each other thinks and how we move to better serve our children. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. Or is it? All right, so here we go, you all. I want to make sure that you all understand. You hear me keep emphasizing shall and may and jointly developed and meaningful involvement and all of these things. Screenshot this, jot it down, come back to it if you need to. But I think it's imperative that you understand the language. The law has certain language that we need to understand as it relates to the obligations for schools, school districts, LEAs. We'll talk about that as well. And oftentimes we will use this language as if parents know, and you don't. So we want to make sure that you are clear, that you've been brought along. You are part of the process. So there's no discrepancy. We're all on the same page. We have an understanding of what the definition of these words mean, right? It's needed, it's necessary. We have a common language now. Okay? So this is where you get, many parents do get lost, caregivers, grandparents. Like, we're not education professionals and you don't have to be. We're not lawyers and you don't have to be. I said that at the beginning. I'll say it again. You don't have to be. Not because you can't understand it, but because the institutions often hide behind jargon, acronyms, so that you don't know. But we're going to break that down for you so you do, so you're not lost, so you right up to speed, okay? So when you hear meaningful involvement, simply put, it means your input must come before decisions are final. You must be brought in early to influence, participate in the decisions, the outcomes, not when they're already done. Schools cannot present a completed plan and call parent attendance involvement. Is that happening in your space? I know I saw it happen in a couple of spaces. I had someone actually tell me at a local school, well, Miss Taylor, you know that many of us are parents as well. We have our children here at the school. And I just had to simply, nicely, politely say, ma'am, I understand that you all are parents. You have a dual role here. There's some intersectionality. But when you have your hat on as an employee of this school, your parent hat is not on. And if you're only discussing it with your colleagues who are also parents, you still aren't in compliance, because the requirement is all parents have an opportunity to participate. And you're going to do everything in your power to get that participation. So that's meaningful involvement, all right? When the law says school shall do something, it means they must. It is not an option. It's mandatory. May, on the other hand, means it's discretionary. So if you see shall, if you see must, it's mandatory. If you see may, they have a discretion. Bottom line, all right? Jointly developed, right? Created through collaborative process between school staff and parents working together. If you're a husband and a wife and you're creating house rules, unless someone delegates, we've been hearing a lot about that in the government lately, with who has the power to declare taxes. Well, our Constitution says Congress. Our executive branch currently is dictating, but the Congress has not given its power away. Same here. The only way parents can give their power away is if the school has complied in all areas and done effective outreach, and you still choose not to show up and participate. At that point, you've given your power away. But the requirement is that we jointly develop it with parents. Some parents have to be in that room. I would like it to be an overwhelming majority, a representative sample of that particular school, so that we can ensure that parent voice is heard, is taken into consideration, right? So we want to make sure of that. So when someone tells you we don't have to do that, or we don't have to do this, I want you to always look at the text. Does it say shall? Does it say may? Are we here talking about something that we're supposed to jointly develop? Is this meaningful involvement? Right? And then I also want you to understand, you have the school and family, or parent and family engagement policy. You have the school and parent compact, and then you have the allocation of dollars. So the school parent compact, a written agreement jointly developed by parents and school staff, outlining how each party will share responsibility for improved student achievement. One of the schools that got this right was AC Prep, the African Centered Collegiate Campus. CHIC, when it was open. LAD, when it was open. There was always a school parent compact. Parents agreed to come and volunteer at the school. Parents agreed to have their children at school on time. Parents agreed to do so many reading minutes and things like that, trainings. They agreed in order to have my child here and for us to collectively create the best environment for learning and academic achievement. These are the things that we agreed to. And then they asked the school to agree to some things. And because they had that back and forth, they were able to create a school parent compact that served children. So what does this mean for you, parents, grandparents, guardians? This isn't a one-way contract where the school dictates expectations. You have equal authority to define what the school commits to providing and what supports families' need. So I want you all to understand these terms, this terminology, this jargon, this professional lingo. It's not hard to do. I just don't think we've taken the time to ensure that you actually have had an opportunity to understand it. Okay? All right. So I want to talk about recent clarifications that really strengthen your position in terms of ensuring compliance, holding your school district responsible and accountable, right, for the things that they are supposed to be doing. So the U.S. Department of Education recently doubled down on this idea of authentic partnership. They've gotten something right. They made it clear that one-way flyers and robocalls do not count. Y'all want me to say that again? One-way flyers and robocalls do not count. They put out guidance, January 2025. Updated guidance emphasizing that parent and family engagement must be authentic, reciprocal, and sustained, ongoing, both ways, authentic, genuine, organic. And these are the things: two-way communication. Schools must create systems for ongoing dialogue, not just one-way information distribution. I just said to someone today, communication is back and forth. And both parties have to be clear and have an understanding about what's being said. That's two-way communication. Linguistic accessibility. We have a very diverse city, school districts, charter schools, some more robust than others in this way. But are all materials and meetings provided in languages families understand? Not saying you're in America, so you should be speaking English. We have to honor the home language of our students and families. We have to invest in professional translation services. Teachers and students should not be pulled out of the classroom to translate. I just purchased myself. I do parent literacy training. I have 50 Spanish-speaking families at one of my partner schools. So now I am looking at two. One, I've already began and have. I distribute emails in both languages. My presentations are in both languages. And then I said, but Catina, you don't speak Spanish. So I made an investment. Here's my tool that I'm looking at tools that I can begin using when we are on site together. So as I'm speaking languages, translating in real time. Not super, expensive, but I'm going to try this out. If I like this, guess what? I'm purchasing enough for every single family that shows up. I want them to know that they are important enough for me to make the investment so that I can ensure that they get the information they need to help their children. School districts should be doing the same. Some do. I've sat in some board meetings where this happens, but does it happen at parent-teacher conferences? Does it happen at the Title I meeting? Does it happen at book fair? Does it happen at sporting events? We got to think about this in a broader way. Does it happen at open houses? We got to know. Decision-making authorities. Parents participate in substantive decisions about curriculum selection. There should be parents on the curriculum adoption team. When you get ready to adopt new curriculum, math, science, social studies, literacy, are parents sitting on that team or just teachers and administrators? We're going to invest millions of dollars on assessment tools. Now, some things are mandated by the state. I get that. But the things that we have discretion over purchasing, are parents helping make that tool? Are they are making that decision? Are they understanding what we're purchasing and why? And then, of course, that resource allocation. That 1% of that Title I dollars is set aside for family and parent and family engagement. How's that being allocated? Where's our voice in that decision-making process? In capacity building, I love this one. I'm so happy that the Department of Education focused on this, you guys, because what they said is schools. Here's our word we love. Must, shall train staff on effective family engagement and, not or, and provide parents with tools to support their child's learning. January 2025, U.S. Department of Education. This is not Catina, this is the source. This is guidance, updated regulatory guidance, non-regulatory guidance. So it is not specifically spelled out in the statute, but this is guidance so that schools and school districts, states who actually create manuals for schools and school districts to utilize so that they make sure they're in compliance. They're giving them this information. This is updated. This is what we mean. This is what should be happening. This was our intent with the statute. So there's no question about what I love this stuff. Yeah, I know I'm such a nerd. For those of you that don't know, I was a political science major in undergrad. So all this stuff. Then I went to law school, y'all. So all this stuff, I love it. I love it. Absolutely. I want to make sure you all get this. Take a screenshot, whatever you need to do. I'm telling you, it's needed and necessary. You all have to have this information. Again, the government with this particular guidance is saying partnership is not paperwork, it's participation. We need to put that on some shirts. Partnership is not paperwork, it's participation. Do you hear me today? Let's say it again. Partnership is not paperwork, it is participation. All right, so now I want to flip over to the Missouri context. Going down the rabbit hole, doing the research, reading, pulling things out of the guidance that is provided by the state of Missouri to school district level leaders, superintendents, Title I administrators, etc. I said, oh, if this is the only thing that schools and school districts are relying on, then I understand why we may be having some trouble here. Okay. So here's this. This is really where the problem lies for me in the way in which I understand it. Okay. So federal law is really, really strong. Missouri has taken what the federal law has said and created its own guidance manuals, the DESE manual, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education manual. But that manual, rather than just restate what's there in a way in which you understand it, it actually rewrote it in a way that watered it down. It focuses on documentation instead of collaboration. It asks schools to prove they held meetings, but not that parents actually helped write the plans, which is what's required. So that's how we shift from compliance and it really becomes performance. And families have lost power because if you don't know what you don't know. So in Missouri, we have to push for both compliance, and authenticity. DESE causes the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education Manual, right? They published this ESSA Federal Program Manual. It's sometimes known by people in the space, in the ecosystem, as the Consolidated Federal Programs Administrative Manual. That's what school districts are relying on, but it differs significantly from what the federal government requires. So when I start asking questions and school leaders, CEOs, superintendents, principals, etc., they get upset because they hear in my voice the assumption that they're not complying, and they're right. And it's not an assumption; it's something that I generally have witnessed. But for all intents and purposes, they're going like, well, Catina, how are you pushing us on this? We are in compliance because DESE gave us this manual and we're following the manual. Well, the manual's wrong. That's what's happening. So there may not be any negative intent to not comply. However, because the guidance that's being provided is incorrect, and I will say that this manual, from what I know, a couple of weeks ago, I spoke with someone at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, when I was requesting the manual, the most updated copy of the manual. I was told verbally that the manual is in the process of being updated. My follow-up question was, by whom? Is this happening internally or externally? Are you bringing consultants on board, somebody from the federal government, people like me or attorneys that have some understanding? Because my concern is if the manual is already incorrect, and the same people are working on revising it, are they going to revise it so that it actually mirrors the federal law requirements, and so the schools and school districts have the appropriate guidance they need to be in compliance? And I'll tell you, a major thing is that Missouri's manual does not explicitly state that parents must jointly develop policies or that parent agreement is required before adoption. And that is significant. I mean, that, oh my gosh, that can get schools and school districts in so much trouble. It really does make districts believe that they've met requirements by simply holding informational meetings, even when parents had no genuine role in decision making. They're going to say, well, we did it. We did what we were supposed to do. Nope. And this is the 2023 version of the DESE manual. We're just in 2025 and they're having to revise it again. Why? Just saying, y'all. All right, let's go. So what's the impact of this, right? When parents aren't genuinely included, when schools and school districts leave parents out, kids pay the price. Bottom line, programs miss the mark, trusty roads. People want to know why parents don't show up. Why would I? I don't feel respected. I don't feel trusted. I don't feel a part. I'm not given an opportunity to contribute. And if the funds don't reach where they're needed most, what we know from research, decades and decades and decades of research, is the bottom line. When families are true partners, academic gains go up across every demographic group of children, especially Black students and students from low-income backgrounds. Think rural. Think hourly wage workers, underemployed. Family engagement isn't a luxury. It is an evidence-based strategy for academic achievement, y'all. I've cited a source. Okay? I'm not just throwing things out to you all of what I think. No, it's what I know. It's what I've researched. It's what I pulled up. Okay? So I want you all to understand that. So authentic partnership versus token participation. I love this because many schools do believe that they're engaging parents when what they're actually going through are compliance steps. Checking boxes, check mark. But this is really a framework that you can use to assess whether your school is truly honoring your partnership rights. You start at the bottom, sign-in sheet only. Oh, look, they starting. That's the floor. That's the floor. They're having information only sessions, meaning you sit there, you sit and get information. Well, I signed in. They're giving me information. Okay, that's step one. Step two. It's still on the floor. Next step. Oh, I don't have to come to meetings at 9 o'clock in the morning. Because some parent groups meet at 9 o'clock in the morning. Who does that? Housewives, middle and upper class, CEOs, salary waged employees. They don't have to punch a clock. But if they start saying, oh, they send it, what works best for all of our parents? Oh, we've looked at the data. We can offer these. Oh, now they getting there, y'all. They getting out, they getting off the floor. They crawling now. Oh, two-way communication is accessible in many different languages. We're going back and forth. We can talk. We can engage. We can collaborate. Oh, they getting there. They getting there. Woo, they standing up now. Then they say, hey, parents, we got this much Title I dollars. 1% is allocated for family and parent engagement. How should we spend this money? These are some things we are thinking. What do you know? What do you think? What are some other schools and school districts that you might be aware of doing? What did Catina say? Let's look at the statute and see if there's any particular specific requirements that we need to do with this money. Then we can begin making a plan. And as a part of that plan, how we're going to evaluate the success of that plan. What type of return on investment are we looking at? And finally, then, we've gone through the process, and it's not going to be just one meeting. It's going to be multiple meetings over time. Now we're at a place where we can create the policies jointly. We done workshopped it to death, and this is what we think we're ready to present to folks. That's the goal. This is the framework. You want to be at the top, right? This is what we're looking for. This is the goal, you guys. I told you I'm such a nerd. I love this stuff. I love it. And I feel like, I think I get excited to be giving you useful information, tangible information that's going to guide you where you need to be. And if your school or your school district is already in compliance, they're doing all these things, kudos. I'm so excited. You all can be a model school or a model school district for others that aren't in compliance. We can come and ask you questions. You can present at a conference or a workshop about how you got there. If you've always been there, was it built into the model of the school, the cultural and environment? How did that happen and it didn't happen over to your next door in your neighbor's backyard? We want to know those things. We want to talk to you all. We want to use your institutional knowledge to get us where we need to be for the betterment of all children. All right, y'all. So we're ready to wrap up. Questions to begin asking your school. This is where your advocacy starts. I don't want you to start with accusation. Y'all ain't doing. I ain't heard about. Because remember, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just transferred from one person to another. So no one's going to be able to hear you, receive what you're saying, and treat you as a partner when you attack. Right? You back a cat in the corner, they're going to claw their way out. So we want to start with curiosity. We want to genuinely be curious. We can suspect something, but that doesn't necessarily have to show up in our conversation, right? That doesn't have to show up in our interactions. So you want to ask, hey, well, who helped write the parent engagement policy? When do budget meetings happen? Oh, are there notes, transcriptions, right? Transcripts of these meetings since I wasn't able to attend, recordings in 2025. Not to catch them slipping, not to be like, aha, got you, but to remind them you're aware, and engaged, holding people accountable and responsible. These questions turn silence into accountability. Because see, a silent parent, silent guardian, a silent teacher, a silent principal. If you know something is wrong and you remain silent, then you acquiesce in the wrongness. You put a stamp of approval on it because you're quiet. That's not what we want. And that's not what our children need. Right? So I want to make sure that you are asking these questions. Tons, you got who participating. I talked about that. When can parents review and provide input on how the funds will be spent? Screenshot this one, y'all. Come back. Take a picture of it. Because it gives you additional explanation. I didn't want to read directly what's on the slide because you can read for yourself. I wanted to highlight the major and important points. Okay. All right. So we do have a little action plan here, kind of step by step. And I want you to understand that advocacy, it doesn't have to be adversarial. It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be combative. Now, if anybody knows me, they will say that I say power concedes nothing without a demand. But even in making a demand, we don't have to be nasty. We stand firm. We're assertive, but we don't have to be aggressive, right? You lead with respect, but you stay grounded in what the law says. This is the requirement. I statements. I understand that every Student Succeed Act in Section 1116 requires joint development. How can I participate? That tone, that inquiry, that curiosity, it opens the doors while keeping the authority squarely in your hands. Power dynamic, the art of war, strategy, chess versus checkers. Professional doesn't mean powerless. Service doesn't mean surface. That's from Cassandra Brewington. My girl, I got to give her props for that. That's not mine. Professional doesn't mean powerless. And service doesn't mean surface. All right, y'all. All right. If your school refuses to include you, you are not stuck. And I know people often will throw up their hands. They're like, God, it's such a battle, such a fight. Oh my gosh, another thing. What I'll say, you're not stuck. You do have a clear pathway to escalate if need be. Start with the principal, start with your district Title I coordinator. Then you can go to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and if needed, the U.S. Department of Ed. Nobody wants that. But they do have to know you're serious, you're curious, and you, not by yourself, but a collective group of parents that are representative of the student body that they serve. They have to know and understand you are going to show up, and you're going to keep showing up. Just like my child keeps showing up to school every day. So you get that average daily attendance dollar. Okay, just saying. One parent can raise awareness, but 10 parents can shape and change policy. Don't go alone. The adage is like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. It can't just be you. That means you all gonna have to build relationships within your schools and your school districts. If you already have a PTA, a PTO, a SAC, you better start attending those meetings. Asking the parents, did you know? Were you aware? See, then you get to spend time educating them maybe on a topic that they're not familiar with because they were worried about muffins with moms and donuts with dads in that one literacy night event they're going to have this year. Or book fair, or the school carnival, or field day. And those things have their place. Don't get me wrong. But remember, service is not surface. Our students may have an interest in those things, and we want to support their interests, and we want to support their academic and social and emotional needs as well. All of it's required for them to be whole individuals in this space and grow as whole individuals in the space. So when families unite, schools and districts start listening differently. When it's just one parent making a lot of noise, ours is a clanging cymbal. I think that's in the Bible or something, right? You just making a bunch of noise by yourself. But when they start seeing you 2, 3, 4, 10, 25, 30, 40 parents showing up, it's a different conversation then. History proves it. From desegregation to today's literacy and equity fight, change always begins when parents demanding what's rightfully theirs. Power concedes nothing without a demand. Thank you, Baba Dixon. Leon Dixon gave me that one. See, I don't have to create new sayings. It's already out there, right? So I want you all to understand collective power, strength in numbers. Don't go it alone. Start sharing information, even if you need to create a separate Facebook or Instagram or Threads page to address some concerns you all have and how you're going to work together that is not monitored and controlled by the school or school district. Do that. I've seen some folks do that, and it's effective. All right. I think we talked about already must and may, the shall, and all the things already. So I'm not going to reiterate or go back over this. I just wanted you to know, again, this is the heart of compliance. Must and shall are the law's non-negotiables. They carry weight. May is permission, not power. Okay. And if your school is skipping over the musts and the shalls while bragging about all the mays, they're out of alignment. Don't let optional efforts distract from mandatory rights. Let me say that again, y'all. Don't let optional efforts distract from mandatory rights. That's all I'm going to say about this slide. Don't let optional efforts distract from mandatory rights. Whew, Lord have mercy. Remember, these are the big 6 checks that every school has to meet: a written parent engagement policy, a school parent compact, an annual meeting, flexible meeting times, information in accessible formats, and parent participation in funding decisions. That's the big 6. These are mandatory. They're non-negotiable. These are the musts and the shalls. So don't let the mays, the optional efforts, distract from these 6 mandatory rights. Don't do that. I was somewhere else and somebody said distraction, destruction, and there was another D, is what takes us off our square. And before long, we have ignored or missed what we really should be focused on. Don't get distracted. Might have been dysfunction. Distraction, dysfunction, and what else? What other? I can't remember what else. But it's those 3 Ds. I have to look that up. I can't remember where I was and somebody said, I said, oh, yes, that's good. Don't be distracted from the mandatory non-negotiables, you guys, with the optional efforts, because people will try to throw you off. I do have this as a template. It's a sample advocacy letter requesting participation rights. I will tell you this. You always want to make sure you put things in writing so you have a paper trail. Always, 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 always. You want to give people, when you request information, you request a response, you want to give them a very specific window of time in which they have to respond to you. You want to tell them how it's best to reach you. Is that by phone? Is that by text? Is that by email? Is that by certified mail? What is it? Right? And then you want to make sure you're asserting, hey, these are the big 6 things you're supposed to be doing. I need to know how we're complying or where you want to participate, right? And then you can quote specific sections of the Every Student Succeeds Act. Remember section 1116. But everything should be in writing at all times. Now, we're in a day and age where we might not necessarily always send a certified mail anymore, but you send it with email with a read receipt requested. That's still a thing. Me, I still follow up with a printed copy sent by certified mail or hand delivered. Boop, bop, bam. And you want to keep everything in chronological order. You might say, Catina, this is a lot. I feel like it's a court case. Power concedes nothing without a command, and people take you serious when you show up professionally. If you want a copy of this advocacy letter, you all, I want you to inbox me or drop in the comments that you want this letter, and I will be glad to share it with you. Okay? All right. Let's see. Compliance is the floor, right? It's not the ceiling. I love this. I love this. Remember, we're innovating together. We're sharing accountability. We're building trust and relationship. We have ongoing sustainable dialogue, communication. People should be taking cultural norms into consideration. And we should be equipping parents and assisting them in their evolution as leaders. True partnership means all of these things. And schools and school districts thrive when they stop treating parents as outsiders and start seeing them as co-educators. Schools and school districts thrive when they stop treating parents as outsiders, side pieces, optional participants, and start seeing them as co-educators. Because parents, you are the first and most important teachers of your own children. When we co-design solutions, every single child wins. Every single one. So I want you all to remember that, okay? That's it. That's all. That's what I got. I know this was a little long, but I think it was necessary to give you guys everything that you need. And more. We'll be giving more and more and more. Remember, this is only part 3 of a 10-part series. Next week's, we're going to dive even deeper into how schools must comply, right? So we're going to walk through these checkpoints. I'm going to provide you all with a 1-page checklist. So I encourage you to like and follow Dreams KC on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Threads. I'm everywhere, y'all. And this content is cross-posted in different formats, right? Long form, short clips, things of that nature. So feel free to join the live discussion, connect with other engaged parents, interested parents that are seeking to grow and lead in this way. Education professionals, policymakers. We need to be building relationships, developing trust of one another. Having a growth mindset, not a deficit mindset about parents and teachers and administrators and children. All of these things matter. We got to check our biases, put them down, take them off when we enter in so that we can get the real work done, and that is making decisions for the best, that's in the best interest of children at all times. Y'all hear me? Y'all got me? That's what it is, y'all. That's what I got. I don't think I have anything else for tonight. So stay informed, stay engaged. Remember, education depends on active parent, family, and community participation. So that's a wrap for today's Policy Pulse Education Edition. I hope that this helped bring some clarity to what's happening in education policy, specifically Title I, and what it means for you. But here's the thing. Staying informed is just the first step. The real power comes when we use the knowledge that we gained to make decisions, to advocate for what matters, and to ensure our voices are heard. So let's keep the conversation going. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with somebody that you know who needs to hear it. And if you have questions or topics that you want me to cover after this 10-part session, please let me know. If there's something you hear on the radio, you read in the paper, you see on the news, and it relates specifically to education policy, and you want me to address it, send it to me. Let me know. DM me or send it to info@dreamskc.org. info@dreamskc.org. I'll see you next Thursday, same time, same place. And until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and always let's keep pushing for what's best for our children and in education. That's what I got, y'all. I will talk to you all next week. As I always say, y'all know I'm going to say it even though we're not talking about literacy. Let's get lit, y'all. Bye. Have a great night.